Now it's 5 o'clock. Welcome to our zoning boards of appeal meeting, which is a meeting that we meet here every month on the fourth Thursday of every month. Is the county ready? Rob, you guys ready? Audio, video, are you guys ready? Just a moment. It is our custom that we begin our meeting by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. If I could ask you guys to stand, face the flag. Just recite. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rob, are we okay with our notifications?
Yes.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Have everyone had the opportunity to look over the agenda? Like to make an adoption?
I move we adopt.
Second.
It's been properly made that we adopt the agenda in second. All in favor? Agenda have been adopted. Our approval of our April 27th meeting. Have everyone had the opportunity to review those those minutes? Note that I was absent at that. So we still have we have a quorum to adopt those, so I guess someone to go ahead if we have
I
any.
move we adopt the minutes of the last meeting.
All right,
Second.
it's been properly made and second. All in favor of adopting the April minutes? Item number 6, before we get started, we have public comment. Note that you have up to 3 minutes for your public comment. When we open the floor for the public comment, if someone in the front of you pretty much say what you wanted to say, just said, I agree with the individual that just went through. Just for the sake of time, obviously we have a number of public comment here tonight. So we're gonna go ahead and move to our item number 6, which is Lisa Coakley. Yes, you can come forth and state why you're here.
I'm here in support of the application for short-term rental at 562 Joe Frazier Road in Beaufort.
You said you're in support.
I'm applying for it.
Oh, okay.
I'm the actual applicant.
Question, you've met all of you have your check off list for everything that's needed on this, I believe?
Yes,
I was looking at your plat, and just out of curiosity, I noticed that look like it's subdivided. Are those 2-3 properties what you own there?
just.
Or just,
Two. It's 2 lots, Lot C and Lot D. I originally owned Lot B at one point in time. I had a family member to assist me with the setup of the property. And then we had some issues and I swapped Lot B for Lot C. And I was also awarded, given Lot D by my brother. So it's a family arrangement. And that's what I own right now, Lot C and Lot D.
C and
And the
D?
property is on Lot C.
Okay, I was just looking at it, looked like part of it was on B as well,
But at the time, I originally owned Lot B.
but you don't own it now.
No, we were trying to, when the mistake took place, we made the effort to try to resolve it. So I gave the property Lot B to my brother because my property, the mobile home, was on the wrong lot. So we were trying to correct it by just swapping the land around.
Okay. Well, I guess that's a fight you have to deal with somebody else. I guess you're not here for that.
No.
All right, do anyone else have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir, I have one. I'm looking at your fire safety standards approval form, and I'm just a little confused. It says not a fire inspection, zonely only. So I guess, is everything in compliance for, as far as smoke detectors?
Yes. Everything is in compliance with the smoke detectors. I actually have the property monitored through a home security company. And a part of that monitoring system is they provide smoke, the radon testing, in case if there's any problems with that. So it's all tied into one monitoring system.
Okay, then you got the fire extinguishers in there too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Thank you. We'll hear from the county.
All right.
Thank
Is that
you.
it?
For now.
Thank you.
If we need you, we'll call you back.
Okay, and of course, you know, this is a special use permit that they're seeking, so it needs to be reviewed by the requirements in 7.2.130D of the Community Development Code. And from our review of this, staff finds it compliant, from our standpoint with the criteria for special use and recommends approval of the short-term rental.
So this is, and I'm quite sure there's no covenants on this property, right? You're not buying to any covenants with this property, right? Well, I should have asked you that while you was here, but, yeah. All right, thank you. Any questions for the county? Thank you, Mr. Rao. We closed that part. We're gonna open up for our public comment. We have, Keith Frazier.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Frazier, and I own that property at 284 Bay Pines Road, 558 Joe Frazier Road. My sister owns 562, and I think it's 564. She's got that down. Reason why she's been doing a lot of things, because right now, half of her mobile home, about 30 foot of her mobile home sits on the property that I'm paying taxes on, and I don't own the mobile home on that property. I sent a certified letter asking her to contact me, no contact. We vehemently opposed to people coming into our neighborhood. She's been renting this place out for the last 3 years. She had one tenant in there, they got so drunk, the fence where she got up is all on my property, over 60, 70 foot. They got so drunk until they were throwing Heineken bottles all in my backyard. We don't want that in our neighborhood. She doesn't monitor the place, she doesn't live here, and she wouldn't have that where she lives.
And did you
Thank
say
you.
you own parcel B?
I own partial B. I have the documents right here, tax papers, everything.
Okay.
I own partial B. She owns partial C. Once my sister, my older sister, Darlene Ellington Frazier, owned partial C. When she put that mobile home in there, she put it on 2 parcels, which were wrong. She has not tried to rectify those mistakes up to this day. Ignored me on every angle, and I'm still paying taxes on something I don't even use.
How long has that mobile home been there?
It's been there about 5 years.
5 years. And were you present when it was moved there?
I was present when it was moved there, and I trusted my sister. She was supposed to have had the place surveyed off,
Okay.
and the place has been surveyed. But somehow or another, when we go back in, even South Carolina Electric and Gas, we could not find the front stakes. I've had that property surveyed about 3 months ago. All the stakes up front that's showing where home sets on my property, they're all pulled up and in my backyard. I vehemently oppose this. I don't need more headaches when I got to lay down in the nighttime when I'm getting older and I just want to rest.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Ms. Green Hall? Come forward.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
My name is Bianca Green Hall. I live at 34 Green Family Drive, and I'm related to the Frasers, to Lisa Coakley and her siblings. Only thing I have to say is, this is one big civil rivalry, sibling rivalry. Ms. Coakley put her mobile home up a couple of years ago. Keith helped her set it up. He took care of the zoning and everything. Then when she got situated, he said something, told her that, oh, you got when your mobile home, you got some of that on my property. You got to pay me $25,000. So it's just a bunch of bickering back and forth. All Ms. Coakley is trying to do is, she wants to have a place to live at when she comes home. Meanwhile, she would like to do short-term rental. And it seemed like, and Keith lives bumped up against her, but all he wants to do is cause confusion and run off tourists or people that are living in her home. She has a very beautiful property, beautiful. Keith, his property is, a dump, and I say civil rivalry because Miss Coakley moved from South Carolina after she graduated from high school, went to college and stuff. She lives in Maryland now, and she did good for herself, and she's really made something of herself. Her brother Keith hasn't done anything for himself, and all he does is cause confusion.
I just want to remind you, you only have 3 minutes now.
All right.
Yeah.
But it's all about a bunch of sibling rivalry, and if Miss Coakley's property is anywhere on his property, any of it is on his property, he put it there. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one question for Mr. Keith.
Yes, sir.
I think when Ms. Coakley came up here and she said she had a family member to help her to,
Set up the
position
home?
Yeah.
Okay,
Were you that individual?
I was part of that process. First of all, she put the mobile home on the wrong property. Either way you put it, she messed up, okay? She put it on partial C. That was my older sister property,
All right.
and then she put the other half on partial B.
Thank you. I just wanted to know if you was
Okay.
a part of that
And
setting the
I-
process.
I'm just saying, but here it is, the mobile home company moved that mobile home and they did not do due diligence. Who surveyed that property? She has had that surveyed property 8 times within the last 6 years.
Okay.
And she knows where that mobile home is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, now, Lisa, you filled out a public comment. You don't have to do that because you're the applicant, okay? Yeah. Is there anyone else for public comment for this item, number 6? You are? Showing up, there it goes underneath. You can come forward.
My name is Danette Frazier, and my line is on that property line. I'm just here to say that I live next door to when that property was rented out. And throughout the year, it gets wild, ongoing partying all night. I would like to try my best to keep my neighborhood very civil as possible. I remember one night there were unfortunately a lot of Marines. They had trucks and they were digging up it was on her side of the yard, but that party went on till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I don't feel safe like that at all. I live alone, although my son is in and out, but basically I'm home alone. And when these things come about, I don't know who is, generally you don't know who's renting next to you. But when it becomes Airbnb, anybody can rent those properties. And I just don't like the idea and I just don't feel safe. That's
Thank
what I'm here to say.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you.
Is there anyone else for this item that would like to have public comment? We close public comment. We hear from the, oh, we have already heard from the county.
I had a question for Ms. Coakley.
Yeah, I think I do too. Ms. Coakley, could you please come forward?
Ms. Coakley, I'm looking at this plat that you provided, and I see on parcel B, it's got it looks like all the parking spot. Is all the proposed parking on parcel B?
No. It's gonna be, the property is 1.1 acre, okay? These two individuals that's here today, one's my first cousin I grew up with, and the other one's my brother. All of this complaint that I'm hearing now, I've never heard any of this before, okay? It's a vindictive move. The forum that this needs to be heard in is perhaps civil court, not this particular forum. So all of this is very new to me, and I've never heard, they have no police reports, nothing to, corroborate what they're saying. It's just only a vindictive move because this is who they are.
I just want to be clear. So when I'm looking at this, and it points to parking areas 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all on parcel B. Is that correct? As part of the
Yes, but the
application?
property is so huge, you can park on the grass. My brother Keith, I wasn't even here when this property was laid out. Keith worked with all of the county representatives to place this property where it is. He was the one who did the actual, he was like the general contractor. I trusted him, and this is what I ended up with. And now that they think that there is so much money that I've made off of this property, or that I'm going to make, they're looking at that side of the picture only. I've spent an enormous amount of money. I would probably guesstimate, after I sat down, it's over $225,000. That's not a little bit of money. That property was just a big wooded area for the last 30-plus years, from 1988 until when I got it and took it and turned it around in 2015 after my mother passed. It's been this rocking thing, land, fighting over land. I have more than I can ever need and want in terms of real estate. That's what I do for a living. And I don't want to come here and upset people next door, my family. This is just, I've been really civil about this whole thing through the whole process, and been praying that it would just go away. And it's not gonna go away. And that's why they're here. They're not here. All of this stuff that they're saying is complete lies. Complete lies.
Okay. I guess the main reason why he asked that question, because if you said that you do not own parcel B, and all of your parking is on parcel B, then that would be, you have parking on someone else's property.
Can I explain that for just a second, if you will give me a minute to go back to that? When we originally, Keith was the one who made the decision to put the mobile home on Lot C. At that time, the permit was approved for Lot B. He didn't know what he was doing. And instead, even when I offered, I said, let me call the surveyor and get them to come out and point you in the right direction. Oh no, I worked for Beaufort County all these years. I know what I'm doing. And I allowed him to do that. And then he turned around, he made a mess out of it. And after we figured out that it was a mess that was made out of it, we tried to correct it. So we started deeding, I deeded B to him, since his mobile home was right next to Lot B. My sister, who owned Lot C at the time, said, okay, you take C so that there's no problems financially that's gonna cause you to go back and dig into your pockets. I'm not gonna use that property. My other brother, who lives in Maryland, said the same thing. I'm not coming back, so I'll give you you can have the two lots next to you, Lot C and Lot D, and let him have Lot A and B. That's the way we thought we were resolving it. And then every time that I turn around, Keith is one of the most vindictive persons that I've known in my life. He's mean-spirited.
Mr. Keith,
He gets, okay?
Could you be quiet, sir?
So my thing is that I technically am the victim of the situation, all the way around. And I haven't done anything other than try to be civil,
right,
to keep the peace.
right.
And every time that I turn around, I'm always being attacked by them, always.
All right. And I understand what you're saying. I understand there's obviously a lot of
It's a
family
lot of bad
dynamics
blood,
there.
absolutely.
But all we can go of what we have before us.
I get it. I can
And-
change that. And the lot, the entranceway is just coming in. I can have people park on the other side, which is strictly gonna be on Lot C. I can't take up concrete right now. I'm not in a position to do that. So we have to have a driveway, and that driveway will bring people in, and then they can park in other areas. They don't have to park on that lot.
But that driveway is on his property, is that correct?
It was my property at the
Yes,
time
ma'am.
when we did this,
Oh,
but yes,
but-
technically it is right now.
And what if he put a barricade up and stopped the guests from coming in? Do
He
you have a
can't,
recourse?
he can't. He can't put a barricade up
Okay.
because I've consulted with attorneys and I've talked to them, and they said that until he goes to civil court and get a court order, he cannot block the entrance, the ingress and egress. He cannot deny me access to my property.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna spend any money going to court when he's got the problem. I'm happy with where the property is located. I'm happy with the driveway. So what am I gonna do? Go to court and sue myself to satisfy someone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Any other questions?
Any more questions for the applicant? Well, I mean, this is a tough one.
I get
This
it.
is not the average.
I understand.
It's almost worse than the other two items, but it's hard for me to, I mean, I'm, based on what you have here, I mean, everything is pretty much on a piece of property that, you know, that your brother owns. But if this is, you're the applicant and you're coming before us, then, you know, your parking, everything should be, in my eyes, on your property. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, my colleague may
That
think
was my
differently.
property when we did this.
And I
That's what I'm
understand.
trying to understand to you
I
right now.
understand when you did this, but I'm looking at what's before us today. Yeah, and I'm not trying to, you know, make it worse for you, but all we can do is go on, basically on what we have presented
Okay,
before us. And
well, if that's the case, then,
and then half of the house is on the other property. So,
If you came in here with title of parcel B, I don't think this would be a question.
pardon?
you said if you came in here with the title for parcel B, then, you know, we wouldn't have an issue because, you know, you would satisfy all of the, you know, everything that needs to be satisfied here. But this is just, it's a
Right.
tough situation here.
It's
You're
a
asking
mess.
us to prove
It's a
on
mess that was created by
something you don't
him.
own.
He created the mess, and I'm gonna sit back and let him fix the mess. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm gonna continue going in and out of my property, and if he's unhappy, then he should foot the bill and get a lawyer and do what he needs to do. I'm not gonna do it.
So the residents that were there prior to you coming forward, were they long-term residents or?
Which
you-
residents?
or I guess they said they had, you know, Marines or something out there with loud.
I
or-
never heard of any of that. That's so made up.
Okay, well, whomever rented it, was it long-term rental
No.
or just you was using it as a
No, it was just some,
Airbnb as well?
it was some friends of mine that I allowed to come into the home. I've never heard, I haven't spoken to Danette Frazier in 20 years,
Okay,
okay?
Thank you.
She hasn't said anything to me or anybody else. She hasn't called the police. This is all made up stuff just to be able to be vindictive. And I'm being perfectly honest about that.
right, we understand. Thank you, ma'am. Any more questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Well, board members, based on the testimony we've heard and the evidence that's been presented before us tonight, Guess we have a decision to make, whether this applicant meets the criteria of a special use. Anyone like to place a motion on the floor? Or have a discussion?
I move to deny the permit because she doesn't own all the property that she seeks to use.
There's a motion on the floor to deny the special use permit due to the fact that, you know, a lot of the property that would make up the special use permit is not actually in her name. She doesn't hold a deed to it. So with that being said, a motion on the floor to deny. Anyone, can I get someone to second that motion?
I'll second it.
So it's a motion on the floor to deny it, and it's been properly made in second. All in favor of, well, you guys want to have a discussion on this?
Yeah, can I just say one thing? I'm really confused about this. When it's on someone else's property, is there any kind of easement that would give her permission legally to?
She has an easement on the property and on that plat, but the easement is the 50-foot access that's at the front of the property. See
So
that?
not the driveway,
Not the driveway. Correct.
and certainly not the overhang.
If it's been there 5 years, does that grant her anything, any rights or anything?
I mean, they'd have to talk to a lawyer about whatever the elements of adverse possession are, but there's certain years of that, and 5 years doesn't fulfill it yet.
Okay.
What is it?
But they're getting closer.
If this applicant was denied, is it what, 1 year she would have to wait before she come back? If she were to rectify this?
I mean, unless they thought that they were gonna come to some resolution of her title to parcel B over the next, month.
Mm-hmm.
And.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know that
my
that's
only
gonna be-
direction as staff is, if Hillary were here, I have several questions for her regarding this, but if there's anything that could be worked out, is deferral an option?
Yeah, I think I would do it.
Other than that, I do have the concern about, if this is denied, then it does put that year.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because if she had her own driveway, her own way in, it may not be an issue then, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there might be some way to work out
Okay.
the legal arrangements or moving things around so that they're on the property that she
Yes, sir.
owns.
Maybe
But
we can ask.
that's up to the board, so.
Maybe we can ask, Mr. Keith if he see any way that they could resolve this. Let me ask you a question before we go any further with this. It's a couple of things we can do. We can continue to move forward. Not sure, I mean, obviously, it's up for denial for right now, but it's not completed. Or we can defer this, and maybe you could get with your family member and come up with some kind of resolution to this. Maybe you can, get something in writing stating that you could use this portion for parking. I mean, you can come forward. No, I'm talking to Ms. Coakley. If you think that's something that, you can do with the family.
These people are some of the most unreasonable people that you can ever deal with. I've tried everything in my powers. I don't even want the property anymore because I don't want to be near them. I don't want to be in a zip code with them if I can avoid it, okay? So what I'm trying to do now is just simply be able to manage my business. Anything, this has been going on, Mr. Mack, for the last 60-plus years within this family.
Okay.
This is nothing new, okay? Anytime any one of us is trying to do anything positive, this is what you get.
All right.
And I'm sick of it. I will stay in that position. I am in a holding position. that I don't have to do anything. I don't have to rent the place. I don't have to make a new driveway. I was told by council that the ball is in his court. He needs to go and hire a lawyer and bring me into court. And when he brings me into court, I'll bring all proof of checks that I paid him for the services,
Okay.
and I financed a mobile home for him, that I had to bring him into court to sue him to get my money out of him. So this is all just vindictive behavior.
Right.
That's all this is.
Okay. So obviously you don't, it's no way, if
I'm not
if
paying
we
him
were to
another
defer
dime
this,
for anything.
you don't see any
I'm not paying
resolution?
him another dime for anything.
I got you.
Another penny.
Okay.
And I'm out to beyond my head, over my head, with all of this shenanigans that he keeps trying to, extort money from people.
Right.
This is all it is an extortion. He started it way back and it was planned. And then now I can see how it was all
Okay.
put together.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, well, with that being said, board members, I don't know if I see any, no, I was talking to the board members. Thank you.
Sir, I do have a question.
Well, we have a kind of already closed public comment,
Okay, well.
I just wanted to,
Okay.
yeah. But go ahead, what's your question?
The question is, if this lands get zoned for Airbnb, I guess for rental, short-term rental, so if they ever sell their property, is it grandfathered in?
No.
Or would the person will have to get special?
They would have to get a special use permit again.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I wanted to ask.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is it tough to sell?
Yeah? No, man, we already closed public comment. Public comment is closed. So it's a motion on the floor to deny. It's been probably made in second. I'm sympathetic to the situation for Ms. Coakley, but based on what's before us, I mean, we pretty much don't have a leg to stand on to help support this, but,
What I was gonna say earlier, it seems to me that we all know this is a family matter.
mhm.
And really, until the family matter is settled, it's difficult for us to settle that family matter.
Yeah.
So I hate to say, but the family, to me, has to settle it, because even Plot B, to sell it, it's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
How are you gonna sell it to someone when someone else owns the right into your
Right.
property? So, I think there has to be some kind of family settlement before we can even approve it, to be safe.
totally agree. So, with that being said, it's been properly made in second. All in favor of denying the special use permit, signify by raising your hand. So the special use permit, Ms. Coakley, has been denied. So we're gonna be moving on. If you guys wanna stay, you guys can stay. If not, you can leave if you want to. Yeah. Thank you. Moving on to item number 8. Well, we're gonna deal with 8 and 10 at the same time. So, Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
It's good to see you again.
Same here.
Ms. Hughes, gentlemen, good to see y'all again. You recall, well, Mr. Chairman, you weren't here last month, but you recall the same issue was before you on the aspect of whether or not the covenants that are applicable to this particular portion of Coffin Point prohibited commercial uses. And your decision was, no, it does not. You sent it back to the staff so that the Reclogals and the Van Rossums could go through the special use process. So that's why we're here today. So with respect to the Reclogals first, this is the Heron Road. You've got before you the application that was filed, which includes, I think, all the required information. There's a short-term application, confirmation that the covenants do not prohibit commercial use. There's a survey of the property. There's the zoning permit application. There is the fire safety standards approval form. There's the short-term rental safety checklist, and you also have a pro forma copy of the management agreement that they use with Natural Retreats, who handles the rental management of the property. There's also a police report that shows one time 5 years ago, there was one call out there, and it sort of found property in a, what's the found property?
Someone left property someone left their personal property when they checked out.
Oh, okay, so.
And they wanted to verify it with the police that they had possession.
Oh, okay.
Had it and was saving it for them,
So-
so that they knew, didn't know he took it, we have it, come and get it.
So no issues at all with respect to disturbances that would warrant any sort of concern. You also have before you the staff's report that says that this application does meet all 4 criteria for approval of a special use permit. And their recommendation, I'm not sure how they come down to this, is just follow the criteria and make your own decision.
Yeah, that's pretty
So-
much what it is.
We think everything there is pretty self-explanatory. If you have any questions with respect to this particular application, we'll be glad to entertain them. Mr. and Mrs. Rapogel are here.
Yes, sir, I have one question. It's a 3-bedroom house, but you have 8 guests? You can support 8 people?
You want to step up and introduce yourself?
Yes, it's a 3-bedroom house. It has a queen bed in one, it has a queen bed in the other, and it has a bunk bed, but it's a full bed bunk bed. So you could have 2 in the bottom and 2 in the top.
Oh, okay.
So that's the age.
Thank you.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, let me just go back real quick and have Mr. Burchett, can you confirm for the record here that all the public notice requirements are properly met?
For the special use permit?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, okay. And you have also in your package, I think there's a half dozen emails that were sent in to
Yes.
Ms. Austin, all in support from neighbors in the area.
Yes, we have those.
And it's important, again, that you keep in mind the same issues that were at play last time. There are certain areas of Coffin Point that are subject to different covenants that prohibit commercial use. That's not the case here. This is a permitted use under the covenants. And if you don't have any other questions, we'd ask that you go ahead and approve this application.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any more questions for the applicant? Thank you, Mr.
You
Williams.
want to do this one and the Van Rossums together?
We might as well do it both. I mean, obviously, they all meet, they fall under the same covenant, right?
Yeah, I can go through the exact same.
Make a difference in the people coming up to respond?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Questions, Houston? You've got the full application again in front of you. The police report shows that going back to 2017, there have been 4 calls. And can you explain what the 4 calls are? What's that?
If you come forward, please.
Lori Van Rossum.
So the 2 calls in 2022 were the guest calling. One was a domestic issue and another one that was a health issue. And then in 2017, there were 2 calls with regard to a vehicle, a suspicious vehicle. But our neighbor across the street was clearing his lot and our mailbox is like right there. So I'm guessing that like they had some equipment parked and somebody called and they just referred to our address because our mailbox was sitting right there. But in all 4 instances, there's no write-up from the police because they determined that none of them were any issue at all. So they never wrote a report about it, any of it.
Right. And when was that domestic call?
2022,
Oh, just recently.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's because now we have on our fridge, we have a thing that says call 911 if you need help, and all of a sudden the guest decided to call.
All right, thank you.
Which is not a good thing to do in that situation. So there's nothing in the record before you that shows that there's any sort of public nuisance with respect to the short-term rentals here. And these houses have been rented for many, many years.
All right. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. We have from the county.
Thank you.
Okay, I would say for both of them, Of course, the ZBOA at the April meeting looked at an appeal to the staff decision based on the covenants and restrictions that apply to both of these properties. And at that, the ZBOA, believed that staff was in error. And so the decision of the ZBOA at that meeting was to have the applicant, both applicants come back and go through the special use permit process. So that's where we are today, and that's more or less what the staff report is. And, our recommendation is to, as in any special use permit, to utilize the criteria of Division 7.2.130D of the Community Development Code regarding evaluation of special use permit.
And
Okay.
I'm assuming that the staff did not see anything that stood out within the covenants that would prohibit the special use to move forward.
Based on the action of the ZBOA, that was the case.
Yeah, we directed, there wouldn't be, there aren't any issues.
Yeah, if I could just make a few comments. Brian Holbert, Deputy County Attorney for the county. I represented the county in the appeal last week, and I don't want to relitigate the appeal, but I do want to make sure that the board fully considers the restrictive covenants that do affect this property. And I'm concerned that in considering the appeal last week and determining that the covenants did not prohibit commercial activity, they may have neglected to give the covenants the plain and ordinary meaning of resident and residential. If you look at dictionary, resident and residential implies permanent residence, not transient. And as we all know, short-term rental, 30 days or less, is transient, and that's why it's lodging and it's commercial activity. So I just want you to consider that in making your decisions.
No,
Yes, sir?
I just think we made our decision clear on
Okay.
the covenants on this issue.
Thank you.
I mean, that issue's over and done with, so,
Yeah.
and
It's a moot point.
the covenants don't prohibit the commercial use here.
Thank you. We're gonna open up for public comment. Ms. Stephanie Compton?
Hey, good evening. I own, if you want to look at the plat, Lot 10, and I am like 100 foot from the Repogles and then 200 feet away from the Van Rosens. So I can hear their houses, I can see their houses. And we moved there in June of last year. I have 5 kids, so we were really using that beach a lot. And we walked by both houses daily. I have no problems. We talked to the renters, no problems. I could tell that the properties were well managed. We felt safe, and they care for the wildlife, and I have no problems with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Brandy Raines?
My name's Brandy Raines. I live at 52 Heron Drive on the same road as one of the properties in question. There are 7 structures, full-time structures on that road, and only 3 of us are full-time residents. I'm one. One is a management company that manages these properties, and the other is a long-time full-time neighbor of mine, and her daughters have helped me round up renters' dogs that are running loose and threatening my poultry, my chickens. And my biggest problem, I think, is trespass, people coming on property that's not theirs. And I'm not saying it's their renters, but it's these VRBOs in general, people who are on vacation aren't paying attention to low country etiquette. They're on vacation and they're paying for this. And they're gonna have fun. And I've had dogs on my front porch causing my dogs to bark and tear up my window treatments. I've had dogs loose on my property at 2 a.m., people looking for them with flashlights. And these are one of these, there's 7 structures, 3 residents, 3 VRBOs, and 1 or 2 that are like summer, come and go. So mostly it's dogs, my dog's barking at the strange dog in the neighborhood because they're rented as pet-friendly properties. So there's a different dog on my road every day. My dogs never quit barking. These renters feed the deer, which encourage the deer to come closer. My dogs never quit barking. And their dogs run loose. And they rent, if you look at the reviews on some of these properties, they say, oh, we so loved letting Rover run on your dog beach. No, there's no dog beach in Beaufort County. And these dogs leave the beach, they come chase my birds, or my dogs bark, and they don't, I guess the homeowners are letting people think that it's okay. They probably aren't saying yes or no. I'm sure they're telling them not to feed the deer, but they're on vacation. They're gonna do what they want to do anyway. And so I find myself as a single female surrounded by no continuity of neighbors. There's no sense of, I can't count anybody. The house next to me, not theirs, but the house next to me rents a minimum of 2 days. I could have 3 different people in my yard because there's an easement through my property for this rental, not theirs. So there's different people all up and down our road. They trailer in their ATVs, they go on undeveloped lots. They have children on golf carts, people on golf carts on the beach. Public intoxication because they're on vacation. And I think it's not the continuity, it's not where I bought this in 1997. I'm an ICU dialysis nurse, I work hard, I want to come home and relax. I don't want to teach people the rules that are from New Jersey or Ohio or wherever they're from. And I would like for you to deny these special use permits, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Christina Washington.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here today. My husband Travis wanted to be here also, but he's with our 4 kids at soccer, so I'm speaking on behalf of both of us. Travis's work as a photojournalist has moved us to different states, including my hometown of DC, where we purchased our first home. It was an old 2-unit building, all we could afford at the time in a city where prices were increasing rapidly and the best option given our circumstances. I was the sole caregiver for my widowed grandmother who didn't want to leave her home she had known for decades. Instead of putting off our dream of owning a home, we'd live with my grandmother in the suburbs and become landlords at the same time. When we purchased our old unit, it had a long-term tenant in 1 unit and 1 vacant unit. The only inquiries we got for long-term tenants were from people who didn't have good credit or not enough income. Months later, we put our empty unit on Airbnb, and on a whim, within a day, we had an inquiry from our first guest. When our long-term tenant decided that he didn't want to pay rent anymore, it was our Airbnb unit that sustained us and helped us pay our mortgage. Our long-term renters stayed in our building rent-free for 9 months without paying a dime of rent before we were finally granted an eviction notice from the city. 9 months. When the delinquent tenant finally left, it was a no-brainer for us to short-term rent our second unit. Not only were we scarred by having to pay for another grown man to live in our property rent-free, we realized the freedom of being able to use the building for family gatherings or out-of-town guests when we wanted. We informed all of our neighbors about our short-term rental. We invited them over for an information meeting where we answered questions, told them how we planned to use the property, and shared information. We had visitors from all over the world, every continent except Antarctica. Neighbors interacted with guests, told stories, exchanged customs and practices from their respective cultures. One of my favorite memories is from 4th of July one year. We had family staying in one unit and guests in the other. We all used the shared yard and grilled on the barbecue and partied together underneath the fireworks. It was our guests' first time experiencing 4th of July in America and reminded me what the holiday is all about: freedom. So when it comes to the matter of short-term rentals in Coffin Point, I concur with the law. Short-term rentals were not a prevalent option when the CCRs were written in Coffin Point. The law has caught up with the times, and the county has deemed them allowable under specific conditions. The minutes from an old HOA meeting state that the Coffin Point covenants and restrictions, quote, probably are the least restrictive covenants in Beaufort County. The most egregious behavior I've witnessed in the neighborhood in the 5 years that I've been there has come from full-time Coffin Point owners. Let's not bow to the, and I have a lot more information about that in the email that I sent to Miss, I'm not sure if you got it or not.
We have it.
Great. Let's not bow to the grievances of a few disgruntled bullying neighbors who can't find it in their hearts to speak to or treat with the respect a fellow neighbor, much less a visitor to the neighborhood. South Carolina is a beautiful state that should be shared with the world, not closed off from it. Tourism is a major industry in Beaufort County, and in a place like St. Helena Island, where we have one hotel, and have you seen that hotel? Okay. To house out-of-town visitors, more housing options in the form of a few short-term rentals will not do harm, but rather enhance the level of understanding about the land and its people by both locals and visitors alike. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, do you permanently stay on Crawford?
Yes.
You do?
I'm a full-time resident, and we've been living there since 2018.
Okay. And you also rent? You
No.
have enough?
No, I don't, we don't rent our property at all.
Oh.
I'm here in support of short-term rentals because I know the benefit of short-term rentals. And I, as a homeowner and as an American citizen, am in support of the freedom of property owners to use their properties as they deem appropriate.
Oh, I thought you said it was a no-brainer when you said after 9 months, someone was staying in the.
DC.
Oh, that
Oh,
was
in
it. Yeah, that was
DC.
in DC.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
Scott Roman.
I just want to agree with the rental rights of the homeowners on the various streets and properties of St. Helena, Coffin Point, Sea Pines Drive.
Thank you, sir. Kathy, Houston?
I just want to agree with the neighbors because I live beside the one on 179 Sea Pines and across from the Heron Drive, and I've never seen any issues, and I've been there 7 years, and my parents have been there since the early 80s, late 70s, and they've never had any issues either.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
we agree with them having the short-term rentals.
Thank you. Carol Miller?
Hi, I reside at 197 Sea Pines Drive, along with my husband Keith Perry. And we've lived there for 26, I think, years. And I'm familiar with both houses. I live about 2 doors down from the Van Rousmans, about 2 or 3, and basically kitty corner from the others. And we've had no problem with them. Usually, the area where we are at, it usually rents to like families because it's not the kind of beach that you're going to swim at. You know, or if you do swim, you have little children because college kids, other ones, they're not gonna wanna stay out there. There's no real swim, they can't go out and swim deep like you would maybe out on Harbor Island or on Fripp. So what we get is usually small families. I've had no problems with as far as golf carts. Most of Coffin Point Plantation people have golf carts. And they're the ones who are riding on the beach, you know? I mean, and as far as any other nuisance on the beach, I know that horses, I'm not gonna say it because it's not a nuisance, but horses are on the beach all the time and using it as far as disturbing, as far as, I wish they wear diapers.
So you're in-
or clean up, you know? Because
So
that's
you're in
a-
support?
I am in support
Thank you,
and I
ma'am.
have no problem.
Thank you. Keith? Oh, no, not Keith, not yet, not yet, not yet. Come on, Keith, come on. I'll come back. Come on, come on. Come on, Keith. Rossman?
Good evening. My name is Keith Rossman. I live next door. I'm 37 Heron, and I have no problem with rentals, have no problems. My problem is the one group that usually shows up wants no fishing information, because I'm a big fisherman too. Also, if you hear that the renters are the problem of our beach, that the rental companies don't take care of, you know, what goes on, natural retreats, I can't think of the other one. I am the permit holder for the sea turtles. My wife and I spent a lot of money on but we have to do by law, put these in the houses, stickers, that. The renters there have more knowledge of what to do and not to do. I find a lot of the problems on the beach is residents or people from somewhere in Beaufort County, that when the state park gets overflowed, they come to us. Otherwise, the only thing Brandy talked about, dogs barking, her dogs used to come into my yard at 3 o'clock in the morning to bark, to wake up and crap. And when I approached her son and her, they told me what I can do with it. So, you know, all dogs bark, my dogs bark, you know, it's just part of life, but, you know, barking and that other, a lot of that other stuff, it's not the renters. I have no problem with them renting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anthony, Rossell?
Roselle?
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Anthony Roselle. I live on 189 Sea Pine Drive. I can see 3 rental places from my home. I am in support of the short-term rental with them. I've never had any problems with anything, anyone. And I'd like to support my neighbors for short-term rental.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Ralph Grant?
Thank you very much. My name is Ralph Grant. My wife and I own 167 Sea Pines Drive, just down the street, 300 feet or so from the properties in question. We've been coming to Coffin Point now for a little over 2 years, and most of that time has been spent monitoring the results of our development of our property, having picnics and long walks on the beach. And during those long walks, I'll say over the last 2 years, we've met maybe 15 or 20 Coffin Point residents and maybe the same number of short-term rental people. And the common theme that I have about those meetings are that we've been told how lucky we are, how fortunate we are to be able to live on Coffin Point, because it's so peaceful, so quiet, but primarily because the neighbors are so supportive. If you need anything, just ask, has been the theme of what's going on from my perspective at the property. So having said that, we certainly support the system. We look forward to having more time on the beach there, and we think it's a wonderful place, an ideal property to live. So we're in full support. Thank you.
You guys are getting paid big bucks, I guess.
That's the way I expected these comments to go.
Robert Longhair?
Lochran.
Lochran.
Good evening. My name's Robert Lochran. I live at 68 Avenue of Oaks. This is my 3rd time here for short-term rentals for Coffin Point. My wife here, Laura, will speak shortly. We live on the avenue, and we see it's a dirt road. Most of the community is dirt road. Again, this is the 3rd time I've been here, and I'm sure you're getting tired of hearing this too. The previous 2 times were for CC&Rs and things, I understand. This has nothing to do with the people that own the property. This is about what we believe to be greed. I said it last time. Long-term rentals, $2,000 a month. Short-term rentals, $8,000 a month. So I've just made a few notes here I'd like to read real quick, if it's okay. I don't know if anybody remembers Coffin Point Beach before the clam diggers. If you ever saw it, it used to be a marsh. Now there's seawalls going up every day because there's no more beach. So we're setting a bad precedent here because we got to be progressive and we got to get with the times. Well, that didn't work out very well, and now we have people that literally are losing their homes to the ocean. So, also, the short-term rentals, the renters have no stake in our community. Therefore, they have no reason to care about how the neighborhood around them suffers from their vacation activities. I called 3 times in 2022 to the police for fireworks, and I could show you the report, but I didn't bring it with me in short notice. There's a huge increase in traffic on our dirt roads, which has led to erosion. There's trash on the side of the road. We do 4 times a year, we do a trash pickup for the neighborhood. Again, this is not personal to anybody here. I live here 365 days a year. It's a beautiful place. We'd like to keep it that way. And we just want you to consider that you're setting a bad precedent because just because this is not within the same CC&Rs, you're gonna get another one, you're gonna get another one. We're affected dramatically by people just on the other side of the road that may not be subject to the same CCNRs that we are. So if down the road, if this is a precedent that's gonna happen, possibly my wife and I would love to go travel the world and we'll rent our property, and we think we could get about $4,000 a week for our property, which would be very beneficial. So I might be kicking myself in the butt here, which I don't want to do, but I think that you have to take the wide view here, not the short view. And I understand it's a property rights issue and there are CCNRs that it's a very difficult thing for you to just get to think about. And, but I would say to consider all aspects here, not just this particular property, because it impacts a lot of other things. And your next decision will be impacted by this decision tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Laura, Patterson.
Hi, I'm also a frequent flyer. I come to these meetings in opposition of the short-term rentals. It's my understanding, I think that the St. Helena Island has 2 active police patrol cars. Most of the time, we're very short-staffed for patrol cars. We try not to call the police when we have fireworks that are going off. The fireworks, you know, for a vacationer, Friday night is actually a Tuesday night, and then the next set of vacationers, they're coming in on Friday night, so they're gonna have fireworks also. And then the next ones are probably gonna come in on Monday, and they're gonna have the fireworks. We do try to drive over, but, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's a work night for us. We will go over and ask them to stop if we can find them. So we don't always know exactly what address they were from that were setting off the fireworks. 2 years ago, we had quite a good-sized fire on the beach. It burned almost all of marsh in front of 3 houses. The marsh was not replaced. That property was managed by Natural Retreats. They did nothing to repair the damage that was done. In fact, when 2 of the neighbors went to their offices to contact them and complain, there's no one ever at their office. And Keith and Katrina, I appreciate it, but they make money from this. They run a rental agency and they live.
Natural Retreats.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Keep lying.
It's not a lie. I'm sorry.
Come on, as you were.
Okay. So
Sir.
we have constant fireworks. We have a pond in our front yard. Some of the short-term renters have brought their fishing gear over. They found a place to fish. It's in my front yard. They also, if you use your GPS, your Google GPS, and you're trying to get to one of the rentals in the far neighborhood, it'll actually take you right through Mark Helis's yard. Because we have all these little roads, and I don't know why Google thinks that it's takes it through his actual backyard. It's very rural there. There's no streetlights. When the renters come in late at night, they're having difficulty finding their unit.
Yeah,
So
if
they're
you could wind it up, because you only had 3 minutes.
Okay,
and you
so,
kinda-
so it is a constant nuisance. And I think that since there's a neighborhood that we have a lot of full-time residents, that our rights, our property rights should not end at someone's profit.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there any more public comment for these 2 items?
Am I able to? Or?
Yeah, you can.
I just want to say that we stay there 4 to 6 months of the year. It's not that we're doing it for money. We love the area. My daughter is the other one we're talking about here. She came down here, and I basically came here in 1969 for 12 weeks for the Marine Corps. And I came back when she bought the place on the beach, and we love the area because it's quiet, because it is that way. And we spend 4 to 6 months here. They spend at least 2 months or so a year when he can get off work. And one night we'll go to their place to eat, the other night we'll go to the other. This is a family deal that we do. And when I'm here for 4 to 6 months, you can ask anybody around us. I'm always in the yard doing something. We're painting, we're repairing. And this money that we get from that allows us to be down here and do that. And it also allows us to keep our property and continually upgrade. We just put new floors in, we just painted the outside and the inside. We're not here to take money. We love the area. And for the people to say those things, that's not what happens. Believe me, that is not what happens. You can talk to any of these people that live around us. There might have been somebody have fireworks one time. There's not fireworks going on all the time. None of that stuff is happening. And it's just, they don't want us here. They don't want to have that, and they're making up whatever it is. But we love the area. That's why we're here. And you know, like I say, we stay here a lot of the year. We're residents. And you know, this allows us to be here, you know. So,
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to say that.
All right, so we close public comment at this time.
Mr. Chairman, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I just want to recap for you what I've heard here, not including Mr. Raplogo, who spoke last. There were 11 people who spoke, 8 in favor, 3 opposed. 2 of those 3 live in a different neighborhood, subject to different covenants and restrictions. And those who are opposed, all their arguments basically boil down to is, well, I don't like short-term rentals. I mean, there's no evidence that they presented that would countermand the county's recommendation and our position that these applications conform to all the requirements of the code. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, so we have all the evidence before us. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the pleasure of the board is ours. Place a motion on the floor. Someone would like to, and then we'll be dealing with both items.
I make a motion that we approve
Second.
the variation.
And that's for item 8 and 10.
Yes.
So it's been, a motion is on the floor to approve the special use permit for both items. It's been properly made and second. All in favor of approving the special use permit signify by raising your right hand. So you've been granted your special use permit. You guys can move forward and deal with the county from this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What's this? And then old business? New business? Adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Properly made.
Somebody second.
Anybody second it? Who seconded it?
Second.
Probably made it second. All in favor of adjournment? We are out.